Hello, friends. I'm hopping on here to do a quick little scope on what we've loved in our homeschool for history. And this is something that we've used for a few years now and have enjoyed. Let me flip the camera around and talk to you a little bit about it. Hello. Hello. Happy Wednesday afternoon. How is it? Wednesday already? Anyway, so I am a member of homeschoolscopes.tv. And one of the things we are talking about this week is history and how we teach history. So I wanted to share with you guys how I do that. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Linna Sutherland. Hey, Anna. And I'm a homeschool mom to 7. 4 of them are school age right now. The other 3 are younger. You can find me online at homeschoolingwithouttrainingwheels.com, hswotrainingwheels.com, and then on Facebook and Instagram as HSWO Training Wheels. So, we have been using the Veritas Press History Program, and I've really loved this. To back up a little bit, I came across the Veritas Press cards a long time ago and was really impressed with them. Let me show you the cards. They're in, I've got mine in a binder, and they're all page protected. But it starts, in the beginning of history, and it just goes, there's one card per, important event, and let me pull one out so I can show it to you better, but they do 5 eras of history. So the first era of history is Old Testament and ancient Egypt. The second era is New Testament, Greece and Rome. The third one is Middle Ages, Renaissance and Reformation. The fourth one, which we just finished this year, was Explorers through 1815. And then next year we'll do the last one in their series, which is 1815 to the present. So for a card, like for example, this is Unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. So you have an event, and then on the back, you've got, let me pull it out of the page protector so it's not so glaring. You've got like a little paragraph of information, and then at the bottom, you've got a little list of references, things you could read, extra stuff you could read. Okay, so there are 32 events per era. So if you were covering one era per year, it'd be 32 events a year. And as you can see, the paragraph of information on this card, it's really not enough to be like a whole week's worth of history. So, I think what they intended you to do originally was that you could go and look up these books and read some more. Hey, Jenny. And alternatively, they have teacher guides that you can get that will give you activities and things like that to do with it. And I have always loved these cards, but I never could get myself together to stay on top of getting all the books from the library and getting the supplies to do the projects and all that stuff. So, when I found that Veritas Press had made an online, self-paced program to go right along with their cards, I was thrilled because I've always loved these cards. I love how they kind of divide it up and the information that they've provided and everything. So I was excited to find that there was an online version of the same thing. So I'm going to flip the camera around and I'm going to show you a little bit about this online, the online version and how that works. Okay, now I'm going to flip the camera sideways because you'll be able to see more of the screen. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, I apologize because it's just going to be sideways. YouTube does not understand how Periscope flips sideways, so I'm sorry. All right, so you have for every card, so in other words, like I said, there's 32 cards per era. And so for every card, you have 5 lessons, which really it's 4 lessons and then a test. And the lessons take, I want to say like about 45 minutes, and that's with some stopping and talking. And I also will say that they kind of intend for you to buy a login, 1 per kid, but I've not done it that way so far. So far, I've just bought 1 login for the family, and then I've just allowed the children. We've done it all together. So sometimes I lead it, and sometimes I have one of the children sit and lead it. But what we do is in our schoolroom, I have a television right by my rocking chair. And so I just plug up my laptop to the television via HDMI cable. And then you can HDMI cable. And once you plug up your laptop to the television, then whatever's on your laptop screen, the kids can see on the television. So they sit on the floor and watch on the television, and then they can answer questions, and participate in the lesson while I am teaching, or, while I'm, like, pushing the buttons, basically. I'm really not teaching. I mean, really, it's the program that's teaching. But, okay, so I'm going to open up a couple of these lessons and just show you a sample of some of the stuff that they have in them. I've got the volume on my computer turned down right now just so that we don't have to be interrupted by it. But normally it will automatically load the first lesson or the next lesson that you're ready to go to, but I'm automatically choosing older lessons because... Oops. Sorry, I thought I had my sound down. Okay, so there are a lot of little video clips, and as you can see, they're pretty short. Like this one is just about 2 minutes long. So it's very, you're not sitting and listening to talking for a long, long time. But there are 2 characters that you're going to meet in every era. So in this era of history, we have James and Abigail, who lead us through all the history lessons, and also Ikohabi, who is a totem pole, and he shows up a little bit later. Normally, you would not be able to advance the lessons once you're in it. So it's set up such that the kids can't just skip ahead, skip ahead, skip ahead. They're supposed to have to, go through the things one at a time. But once you've already completed a lesson, then you can skip ahead at your own pace. And you also can go up here to the table of contents to, choose things you've already done. Like if we hadn't already completed this lesson, these would be grayed out and we wouldn't be able to go to them since we haven't gone through the previous things yet. So they have just a whole variety of different activities pulled in. So this is a spelling activity, and I don't even remember what the word is that we were supposed to spell, maybe explorers or something like that. And so you just drag and drop the letters into place and spell whatever it is you're going to spell and click the submit button. So, it's kind of unit study-ish where they're pulling in lots of different ideas. There's also a lot of geography, which I really love, and I love that it's click and drag. So they're going to teach you places, and as you learn them, then they're going to expand the things that they're asking you to do, so that eventually you're going to have maps with a lot more places that you have to identify. So that's been really fun, and I feel like the kids have learned a lot of geography from doing this. And throughout the week, they will hit on the same activities again and again. So as they're studying this one card, this one topic for the week, they're going to see this map several times. And then, of course, a lot of times successive topics address similar things or, are taking place in a similar location or nearby. And so they're getting a lot of review of these places. Yeah, this has been really fun. And it's been nice for me to not have to do all the reading, all the... to be the one doing all the talking, but just to more be able to listen and then stop. Like, you can pause it. If there's something particular that I wanted to talk with them about, I could pause it and not have to, I still could engage them in discussion, but I just wouldn't have to be doing all the talking. I wouldn't have to be presenting all the information to start out with. Okay, so then let's see, lesson 4. Sure. Yeah, we've really enjoyed this program. It's so I'm officially using it for my 10, 9, and 8-year-old. But my younger children, my 6-year-old and my 4-year-old joined in this year, and they loved it. And they show the cards one more time. Sure. Okay, so here are the Veritas Press history cards. Let me just grab a sample one to show you. There are 32 per. Let's see. Harder to do here. There are 32 per year. So this is one from the first era. And on the back, they really just have like a little paragraph, the event, the date, and then a little paragraph of information plus the, like books that you could look up for more information. But like I said, I never could get around to doing that. So this does a lot of what I would have wanted to do. Yes. I love them too. Okay, so also one of the things that I love about this, and some people find this really annoying, so I apologize if this is just not your thing, but I really love the history song that they do. So I'm going to give you a little sample of that, and you can decide if it would drive you crazy or not. So, I mean, it's definitely kind of a cheesy kid song. My brother and sister-in-law can't stand it, and I don't blame them. But in my mind, you know, it's fun. The kids like it. It's a peppy little tune, and it just gives them a handle to hold on to. So they will memorize all of the 32 events through this song. Not all of them have dates, but a lot of them have dates with them, and at least enough to kind of just keep track of where we are in history. So as they listen to the song, they're gonna memorize the order of events, and then, you know, a few dates to go along with it. And there are several activities where, let's see if there's one in here. There isn't one in this lesson. Okay, but they have a lot of activities where they're given events, and they need to sort them in chronological order. And the events that they're given are the 32 events from their, you know, the 32 events from this year's history. And so when they need to sort the events in chronological order, they're able to sing the song and then put the events in order based on the song that they sang. There is a game that they have every week, and they're often, you know, pretty fun, interactive, you know, I mean, simple, but it's a learning game. So they're having to answer questions, and then they're having to learn things. But then in the process of doing that, they're also playing a game, you know, and so it's fun. They're kind of just, you know, arcade kind of games, things like that. Let's see, there was one. Okay, so here's an example of an activity that you might have to do. You know, like I said, the video clips are short, and so in between they're doing interactive activities so that they're matching things to answer questions, stuff like that. You know, so it's not just a lot of sitting and listening and sitting and listening. They're matching, and they're answering questions. They're spelling things. They're dragging and dropping things onto the map. Let's see. Oh, okay. Now, another thing is they do have, if you really like the idea of the, you know, getting the literature to tie in with it, which I know a lot of people really enjoy that about history, they do have a lot of, hello, welcome, glad to have you. They do have the same things that they have tied in on the cards, they have on the end of a history lesson. And I have not done this with my kids. I just, you know, this was enough for us for right now, so I didn't extend it at all. But usually at the end of the lesson, they'll suggest some kind of literature. And so you can choose, you know, if you want the animation cheesy. No, my kids didn't. My kids enjoyed it, but, you know, my oldest just turned 11. So, I mean, they laughed at it, you know, and the characters are kind of goofy. You know, James is afraid of water, and Ikahabi is constantly trying to hide in the woods. So, I mean, it's definitely a little kid thing. I think might be pushing it a little to do it with middle schoolers, but, you know, if they have a good sense of humor and they don't mind, that could work. So, yeah, so they offer some reading at the end. So you can go and do, you know, click on the level 1 or the level 2 to see what the assignment is, and you could do the read aloud or the read along, excuse me, if you wanted to, which, like I said, we haven't actually done that. And then at the end of every week, they have a test, and the test at the beginning of the year starts out pretty short because it's only questions from that week. But then the further you go along in the year, the longer the tests get, and they don't get hugely long. I mean, the longest they get, I think, is maybe like 30 questions. But they start wrapping in review questions from previous weeks, especially wrapping in review questions of dates of other historical events. So we've really enjoyed it. I didn't really stress about the grades. I didn't really keep track of their scores, really, other than just to see if, you know, they were doing what they were supposed to be doing and paying attention and all that. But I didn't record the grades in terms of, you know, any kind of credit. Okay, so there's a couple ways you could do it. Every week has there are four lessons and then a test. All right, let me flip this around because I'm done showing you what I have to show you, so you don't have to stare at the computer screen anymore. Hello. Okay, so there are 4 lessons and a test every week. So the way that we did it actually is we wanted to school 4 days a week, so I would just at the end of the 4th lesson have them go ahead and take the test. So yeah, so you could do it 5 days, or you could stick the test on the end of the last lesson and then do it in only 4 days. The test really does not take that long. I would estimate that the lessons would take about 45 minutes. The test would maybe take 10. And it did seem like the last day's lesson was a little shorter, so perhaps it's set up that way so that you could go ahead and stick the test on the last day if you wanted to. Okay, so the other thing about this program is normally it costs $199 for a year. Which is really not bad, especially if I do it with many of my children. But a couple of times a year they have a 50% off sale, where it's basically $100 for the year. And what they'll let you do usually is they'll let you start the course later. So like if they have a sale, for example, I've already bought the login for next year, and I think I bought it like in March. But they said specifically on the sale, you can pay for it now, but you can delay the start date until as late as September 1st. So that's what I did. So I've already paid for it so that I could get the savings, but I waited, I didn't have it start now because once you start it, you've got a year to complete it, which is plenty of time, but I didn't want it to start in March, while we were still working our way through another course. So, yeah, like I said, we'll start September 1st on the 5th era of history. And we'll have a full year to complete that once we start it. And actually, last year, I requested to start on September 1st, and then we wound up deciding that we were going to do school a little earlier, like mid-August, and it wasn't a problem. I just emailed them, and they moved my start date up, and we started mid-August, and we've already finished it for the year. So, yeah, no problem, Jenny. So, yeah, I've been really pleased with it. The only thing that I wish was a little different is like I said, they have it set up so that you can't skip over modules within a lesson, which I understand why they do it that way. They want to make sure that kids aren't, cheating or skipping ahead when they should be sitting and listening to something. But the problem is, sometimes as the mom, I feel like, okay, we've already got this map activity. We really don't need to do the map activity again. I wish we could just skip over this because we're a little short on time today, but you can't. So the other problem we've had, and this has happened very rarely, but there have been a couple of times where, the program would hang up or something, and so then we'd have to close down the computer, come back to it, and it would start us back at the beginning of the lesson as if we hadn't done anything. And I wish that there was some way that as a mom I could log in, kind of like a, teacher login, to be able to say, skip this, or, push them ahead a little further in this, or go past that. But for the most part, it's been very workable. And I understand that they have it set up so you can't skip things because they don't want kids to skip over things. So that makes sense. So, yeah. So I'm going to pull the cards out one more time in case anybody who's just logged on hasn't seen them. But if you have any questions about either the cards or the online history program, just let me know. So this is an example of the card. On the front, it just has a picture related to that topic. And then on the back, the topic, the date that they choose, the little paragraph about it, and then the, supplemental reading material that you could add on to go with it. So, and I will say, by the way, just a kind of an FYI, this is definitely written from a Protestant Christian perspective. And they're not, anti-Catholic or anything like that, but it's definitely has that perspective to it. So if that matters to you at all or influences your decision, that we've been thankful for that. I mean, that's been helpful to us, especially as we went through the Reformation and talking about what were the principles of the Reformation, why were the reformers concerned, that kind of thing. But anyway, so, all right, thank you all for joining me. I'm going to hop on later, actually, because in addition to the program that we have online, I have a timeline up in my schoolroom that I've used that I really like. And I'm going to hop on later because this evening I wanted to do two things. I want to show you my schoolroom because it's a disaster. It's a total disaster. And I'm going to be reorganizing it. So I thought it would be fun to hop on and show you my schoolroom before I reorganize it. And then secondly, I'm going to show you my timeline, which is also in the schoolroom. So I'll be back later on to do that sometime today. All right. Bye.